I didn't think this part through. Hello everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Sprue review video, and we have once again returned to the Warhammer 40k universe with the Kroot. Yes, Games Workshop have been very kind, and they have sent me the Kroot Hounds, the Trail Shaper, and the Lone Spear. Why am I waving paper at you? Well, I've misplaced the boxes, because I'm recording and speaking to you from the future in reference to a video that was filmed in the past. Yes, I didn't think this part through. Because one of these comes in one of those little blister pack type things. And, well, you have to destroy those in order to open those. So, yeah. Oh well. Now, as some of you may recall, when I did the Kroot Hunting Pack review, I was very happy with that one. In fact, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I thought the sprues in that were absolutely fantastic. And so, I've been very excited for the Trail Shaper, the Hounds, and the Lone Spear. Because the thing I'm most interested in is, can Games Workshop stick the landing? Yes. Can they produce a set of miniatures that is brilliant from start to finish across the whole lot? Now, as mentioned, there's time travel in this video because I'm recording from the future, so I know the answer. You, on the other hand, will have to watch this video to find out the answer. And whilst you're watching this video, if you're enjoying it, please do leave a like on the video because it's a really useful thing to do, and it supports me for free. But also, if you could please subscribe, I would love you forever. You know, and that's what everybody really wants, right? My love. So we're going to jump in because there's not a whole lot here to actually review. This is more a, let's see if the range sticks the landing. I've said that twice now. Let's just roll the video. Alright, let's get this show on the road, shall we? Lone Spear, Trail Shaper, Kroot Hounds. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tigger by its toe. If it squeals, let it go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We're starting with the Kroot Trail Shaper. So, let's see then. Do they stick the landing? Give this one a quick open. For those of you who don't know, with these clam packs, just get one of these. There's always a little tab just there. You can use that to open the thing up instead of messing about with any scissors or anything like that. And then just pull it apart as well at the sides of things. I've never found a way to do it cleaner than that. Here's the sprue, and here is our base as well. That's now going to go in the recycling forever and ever. So here it is then, Kroot Trail Shaper. We get this thing, of course, in the box, and this is where our instruction manual is, as you can see. If we open it up, there it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 components, all told, on a 32mm base. No options here, so just like the Flesh Shaper, we only have just the one option here for our Trail Shaper. Nice and simple, easy. We will need that, and of course we have this sprue, and okay, this one also. I don't know what it is about the Kroot. We have a bent sprue again. That's interesting. I've only experienced this with Kroot as well, that we get the sprues like kind of just like this, lopsided, as you can see. I'm not putting any kind of pressure on that, and it's strange. What do we got here then? So as we've mentioned, we have absolutely no options with which to play. So we're just going to be building one single miniature, one single version of it if you're going to have multiple of these. So first thing we're going to look at here is this leg, because we're connected right there on the underside of that square pin. So that is part of it. That will be the leg that goes into one of these bits of the terrain, which looks like it's in two pieces. Yep, so you can see it up here. There's a little groove just there on that side of the sprue of the component there, and there should be another little groove on this one just there, which will pull it together, which then gives us that gap to put our little square peg in there. This is fantastic. We love to see this. We then have the body, the main part of the body, where again we have a connection point on the underside of the foot. Love to see that. We have this connection point here, which is on the underside of the leg. Now normally we don't like it when there's connection points on muscles. However, this is the underside of the leg, so it's really forgiving when you do that, because, well, it's not an immediately obvious place. As we mentioned before, one of the places they generally tend to put stuff is like right there on the knee, or here on the side of the kind of the hip of these kind of more organic miniatures. But that's right on the underside. That's okay. We can just about get away with that. So that's good. We then have another connection point here, which is a little bit spindly because it's right there on the necklace. Now that is going to be a bit of a pain to get out. So again, we'll just cut it right there, kind of right down there, so we can get at it from this angle. We can try and get at it from that angle from when it's on the sprue, but I'd recommend just cutting it just there and then pulling it out like that. So that body bit's pretty good. We then have a front or the back of the torso just here. Again, connection point on the underside of the flesh. That's pretty good, but it is on the flesh, but that should be reasonably close to where a leg will go. In fact, by the looks of things, this bit goes in here, so this connection point will go just there. So we just want to watch out for that bit, and we do have a connection point right there on some bone, and that's a nice rounded piece, so you want to be very careful with that. Make sure you're moving with the curvature of the component. And then we have a connection point right there on the muscle. There it is. So it does look like that's also where things are going to connect in, so maybe it's okay, but that is a connection point there on smooth muscle. So just be careful there. So once again, that you're just moving with the angle of the component rather than kind of flattening things off, because you don't want to be missing a chunk on the shoulder. There is the back of the shoulder. We have the front of the shoulder just here, and actually it does seem to slot into one of these areas. So maybe it shouldn't be too bad. However, we do have connection points on the underside here, which is again pretty good because that's right in a coverable seam. But we then have it right there on the underside of the muscle, not on the top, which is nice, just here. But again, it is on the smooth muscular features. And then we have one right here. This one's a big no-no. We don't like this when it's right on a shoulder, because again, that's a really noticeable piece. So you just want to watch out just there so as not to smooth it off by cutting too much out with your knife. We then have this bit where we are connected on smooth flat surfaces by the looks of things mostly, yeah, although I think that is a lump of meat just there. It's not the end of the world, but that one is a bit just to watch out for, again, not to smooth it out with the knife too much. And then move a connection point here on what looks to be a joint of the bit of cloth just there. That's just about okay. That one's all right. We have the head here where the connection point is one hand really good because it's on the underside of the neck there, which is nice to see. But then we have it right here on the top of the quills. Now this is in amongst the little bits of kind of jewelry or whatever that they have in their quills, but we do need to be careful with this because that is a really circular detail. It's like this. It looks like the edge of the base there, or the edge of this circle right there. So you want to make sure that you're kind of moving over it like this when you're smoothing it out, rather than just kind of going straight like this, because you end up basically cutting off the top of that circle. So it can just be like that sort of thing. So watch out there. And again, we do actually have a sort of two halves of a face. Now this one isn't so bad because, you know, it's only the bit that's 2 halves is the seam down the middle of that leather hood, and that's just about okay. It's not like it's a bare head where you would have a seam going up the middle of the flesh. That's just about all right. We'll accept that. And then we have the shoulder guard here, which is connected right on the edge, not on this kind of this circular bit, the kind of rounded area, but right there on the flat. That's good. We like to see that. And lastly, we have the 2 bits of terrain which are connected around the outside. It's pretty good. This one is flat on, so this is actually going to face up like this. So that is the only place that you need to really watch out for, because that was one that will connect up with this piece, which also has a connection point just there on the top. So do just watch out for those bits. But all in all, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good sprue. I like it. So let's build it. So our trail shaper is all built. So let's move on to the next thing, which is going to be the Kroot Hounds. I already pre-selected it. So we're just going to pull it out of the pack. So inside the box, we get our little instruction manual. There it is. Oh, this is interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're done. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, they always throw in 1. There's a few more, a few more components. So our Kroot Hounds are 4 components each, apart from the last one, which is 5 components, and they all come on 28mm bases. Now inside the box, you do only get. Oh, and there's no. Actually, we should just point that out. There are no like optional mouth open, mouth closed type things. It's just your bog standard 5 single build miniatures. Get our little bag of 5 28mm bases. And so, by the process of elimination, what we should have here on this one single sprue, which is flat by the looks of things. Yep, there's no bending in that one. That's good. What we should have is 4, 8, 12, 16, 21 components, which we could count now, but in fact we will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. There we go. Lovely. We're not missing a single component. Now, I'm not expecting this to be a good sprue, because there's very little that we can hang on to. So there's a couple of areas that I am looking for though. And the first thing I am seeing is what I wanted to see, which is that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heads. And none of those heads are in 2 pieces. They are all in 1 single piece, and they are all connected at the neck. So the only thing we're going to worry about here with those heads is any mold lines that are coming across the underside of the jaw, or indeed across the top of the face. But we should be all good on that front, because they are quite angular heads. So there might be a little mold line there, but it should be reasonably easy to just scrape it off nice and gently. So the heads are excellent. We have the bodies next, and well, this is where what I'm saying is I don't expect this to be a great sprue. I'm expecting there just to be connection points all over the place. However, one thing that I am looking for is minimal amount of connection points. So if we start here, we've just got the 2 connection points on this part of the body. Same for this one. This one's actually on the underside of the planted foot, so that's really good. This one is right up against the knee, which isn't great. We don't really like to see that kind of thing, but it is what it is. But we've got 2 and 2 here. We do have a 3 connection pointer just here. This one is right on the knee, and that's definitely a mark down. And this one is on the smooth body, right up against. No, that's actually the full part of the body. That's interesting. Although, as you might be able to see, just under there on that one, there is quite the chunky mold line going across the middle of that tummy. We do have 3 connection points there though. Then over here we're back to 2, 1 and 2, and we don't have, as far as I can see so far, we've had 2 soft bellies, but they don't have a line going right down the middle of them, which is fab. I really like that. He said he didn't think it was going to be good, and I'm actually starting to find things that are really nice about this. This one we then once again have 2 connection points, and here we then have 3. And this one's right in the quills, just there, which we, you know, as we've already kind of talked about that before. And again, do we have a note? This mold line is not as chunky as it is on that first one that we saw. So there we go. There's 3 connection points. We've got 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. And again, the bodies are mostly, like the tummies, are mostly intact, which is fantastic. Because normally, like I said, you'd expect to see 2 halves of the body that just go together like sort of like that type of thing. So you can end up with a line going up the back and a line going along the tummy. But it doesn't seem like we have that going on. We have a little bit of it going on here at the back behind the quills, but the quills should mask that a little bit, if that makes sense. The most kind of danger area is right across the top of the front facing part of the back of a miniature. And when you've got this much kind of, the quills are all intact. See, the quills aren't like kind of 2 different sets of quills that are halved or anything like that. They are intact, so that's really good. It's a fantastic little sprue, that one. We then have legs and things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 legs, and they've all got reasonably, well, this one's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 2 connection points there. So it's mostly good. It's mostly better than I hoped. We do, of course, have connection points in all the smooth muscles. That is a bit that's going to take you a little bit longer to actually build these guys. But in terms of components and actually placing them on the sprue, this is really top notch. So let's see how long it takes to build a Kroot Hound. Just the 4 components. So it shouldn't take very long at all. So all of our Kroot Hounds are done. They took really a very reasonably small amount of time, which is fantastic. Really like that. That's good stuff. So we'll pop these now over to one side and she'll move on to our 3rd and final box. Now, this one is a bit of a centerpiece for the Kroot and for any Kroot army. We of course have the Kroot Lone Spear. Here it is. Now when we flip it over onto its back, you can see actually that there are, well, firstly we know that the weapons are variants, right? Because we've got the spear and we've got the long gun. But there's 2 variants here for the actual thing. I can't remember what it's called. It does have a name. Anyway, let's open this bad boy up and have a little look, shall we? So it comes on just the 1 sprue. That's interesting. And what looks like a 75mm oval base. We shall find out, of course, in due time when we open this up. Nope, not on the back page. 90mm oval base. Well, I was completely wrong. There you are. So these are considerably bigger than I thought he might be. Right, so what we have here is we have variant assembly, so the blue and the green track. Now, what we're going to be doing, obviously, here is we're going to be building up the Kroot Lone Spear's body, the dragon thing, like a cam something or other. And so we build it up to this point, and then you choose the green or the blue track. So, well, I got that wrong. The green or the blue track. I'm not colorblind. So, this gets the whole of the mount done, and this also gets the whole of the mount done. You can build it either way. It's a different angled neck. You could probably just about get away with different types of head on it, maybe. I'm not sure if it uses the same components. Oh no, it doesn't. So 29 and 28 is different there to 5 and 6 here on this leg. 15 and 14 is different to 28 and 27, just there. 18 and 17 is the same here. 13, 31, different reins. 16 and 16. So the head is the same, but the angle at which it looks is different based on different components. Then we build our rider, this guy. He's mono build, 19, 20 and 21. And then you have your choice of your arms. So you have your spears, or you have your long gun. I'm going to build the spears because the spears are probably the coolest option. I think. Yeah. I mean, the gun is pretty cool, but I think the spears are probably the better option. So we're going to build the spears. And we're going to shortly get on with it after we've looked at the sprue. So here is the sprue, and well, like we said, it is just one single sprue. It's not 2 quarter-size sprues, it is just one single sprue, so there's no snapping it in half. So we will unfortunately have to deal with things by looking at it, this half and then this half. So are we finally going to stick the landing here? I've immediately noticed something. Tell me if you have. Have you noticed it? Because I have. Boom. Connection point on the cutting edge of a spear blade. So close, and yet so far. Now, normally that would actually dishearten me, but because I want to build the spear version, I will have to just deal with this. The reason we don't like that, of course, is that it's very easy to chop off the cutting edge and flatten it out, which then is very noticeable when you actually have it on the miniature. So we don't ever like to see that. That always instantly results in a mark off, I'm afraid, immediately. So body is as we're going to expect, right? We're going to have connection points around the softer kind of curved bits. This one is in 2 halves. There's no overlapping bit here, unlike with the Kroot Hounds. Although these top scales, that is an overlap. So the actual, if there is going to be a seam, will be around the base of the scale, which is good. It won't just be this one single line that goes over the back of the miniature. The legs and stuff, like I said, it's going to have connection points on the soft bits of, well, it's not really soft, but on the curvature of the muscles here and here. So we are just going to watch out for those bits to make sure that we cut with the curvature of the piece rather than with the just kind of flatten them off with our knife or mold line remover. Same thing is going to go for areas like this, the kind of underside of the mouth, I think that is. Same here. This is a connection points that are actually, I mean, this is a piece that's sort of crossing the 2D plane, as you can see. So we're actually going to have the connection points on the flesh rather than at the seams. So that's a bit unfortunate here. Same just here as well. And then we have our our actual lone spear's body here and here, where we've just got connection points all over the place. This one right by a knee, although it is an inward facing connection point for the knee, so that will be covered up by the saddle, but this one is right on the tip of the knee, right, so that one won't be covered up, that one will be visible, so you just have to be careful with that. This is somewhat flimsy, so you want to be careful with this. It looks actually, I think that's just a trick of my eyes. I thought it was bent for a minute there, but it's not. It is indeed fine. It crosses the plane, as you can see. So you might have a slight mold line kind of around here in a slightly weird place, but you also might not. You just have to watch out for that. Pieces like that on sprues like this. So this half of the sprue isn't that great, but we then have this side of the sprue as well, where we're seeing exactly the same things again. You have to expect this from these kinds of organic mounts. I've already covered this before and indeed in this video, but once again, having connection points on the cutting edges, not cutting edges, on the smooth edges of the muscles just there. And for example, just under here. This is on the underside of a leg, I think, or it might be the front of a leg. No, I think that is the front of a leg, unfortunately. So that is going to be nice and obvious. This one's on some sort of spiky bits, and that's okay. But this one are a bit of a no-no. This one here, again, connection point right at the front of the piece. And this is a big, thick, chunky one right there on the front of a leg. So it's all those bits you don't want to see when it's a really big connection point like that. So it's really, really, really wide. It's not kind of small and elegant like some of these ones, like that one there, for example. It's quite a small little connection point, but that one's a really big, thick one. So that will take some serious care when you're trying to get that one nice and smooth, because that is the type of thing where it's really easy to kind of flatten it off and gouge it out too much. Just watch out for this one, component number 11. Yeah, and then we have the head here. We have a connection point on the neck, and then right on the top of the head as well. Cardinal sins. We don't like to see this. I don't like it. No and no. We won't have that, thank you. Both of those heads are intact. There's no kind of half heads, which is a point in their favor, but as mentioned, connection point right on the top of the forehead. It's the most obvious place, and it's also the most irritating. Ah, what a shame. The lone spear. You let us down. Still, one not so great sprue in the sea of Kroot. That's not too bad. Let's see how long it takes to build, though. That might help us out. So I think some of you might be able to guess where this one is going. Now, as per usual at this point, we always say, did I manage to paint it all? No, I didn't manage to paint any of it. I was too busy enjoying painting the Dark Oath army set and finishing up the bits for Pyre and Flood. The Yggdrasil Riverblades are nearly ready for you. So I haven't painted the new Kroot yet, but I will, because, well, I'm a big fan of them. I think they're fantastic, and they're a good little kind of chunk of points just to add to a Tau Empire collection, especially one if you don't want to kind of key right into tons and tons of battlesuits, because you want to have some friends if you play with them. So let's start with the good, shall we? The Trail Shaper was phenomenal. I think that as a sprue was really, really good, and it was very much in keeping with the Kroot Hunting Pack. It went together beautifully. It went together pretty quickly. It looks great, and whilst there aren't any options for it, you know, kind of head swaps or different kind of poses for it, I'm okay with that just about, because I'm as personally not going to have tons and tons of them in my army. I might buy an extra Flesh Shaper and another War Shaper, and the War Shaper is the one that's going to have different loadouts for it perhaps, which it does, but I'm probably not going to have a ton of Trail Shapers, so I'm okay with that. But I know for some people who really want variation in the army, it's going to be a little bit frustrating. However, there's nothing stopping you from using the bits in this one to convert a normal Kroot, or indeed taking something from a Farstalker Kinband or something like that. So ultimately, he's not particularly special. He's a cool model, but he's not that special. So I really liked this sprue. I thought it was fantastic. Next up, Kroot Hounds. Kroot Hounds were great. Honestly, even being in 4 components. Now, I sometimes think with things like this, does it need to even be in components? Could these not be just there and maybe you stick on a head or something? I don't know. But when it comes to this type of thing, an army is only as cool as its minions, and putting together the minions is sometimes the most frustrating and annoying bit, especially when it comes to things like teleport homers or stuff like that. It can be just the last bit that you don't want to do, like Ripper Swarms, for example. The Ripper Swarms are annoying, but these go together in no time at all. Like I said, they took about 6 minutes each, something like that. So to build 5 of them, I just threw a painting handle on the floor. To build 5 models in about half an hour, I'm on board. And they do some really intelligent, cool things with the sprue. I mean, again, armies is only as good as its minions, right? It'd be very easy for these to be 2 halves of the same body with a big line going down the middle and a big line going over the top. And we have seen that in the past from some things like some squigs and stuff like that. But these, no. The belly curves all the way under, which is great, and the heads are just intact. They're not two halves of a head that you stick together to press into a body. Because sometimes with these types of things, you can find a little sprue that ends up being like 7 or 8 components per model, and you're like, why have they left off that toe, and why are their heads in half, and why do I glue in this part of the quills? But this is just a beautifully simplistic sprue, and I think it's genuinely top notch. It's weird to be as praiseful about a sprue or something that ultimately doesn't really matter, but it's really good. And finally, the lone spear. Oh, why? It's a shame, because the lone spear is really good. It's great in any Tau army, even if you don't have a bunch of Kroot. It's just a great model to have, and it's reasonably cheap. It can do actions and stuff, and it's a really annoying little character that surprisingly has a little bit of punch. It's a good model, and it's a good unit entry in the codex. So I know a lot of people really want one of these. They are very, very good. However, it took me an hour to build it. And the reason it took me an hour to build it was because some of those components just do not make any sense. Firstly, the actual mount's face is just strange. The way it tells you to build it is you glue the two halves of the mouth together and then you put the top of the head on. Sounds easy, right? And it looks like in the instruction manual that the two halves of the head go together perfectly, but they just flat don't. They go together at the tip here, and there's no peg or anything that holds them still. It's just two things that you glue together and hope that you've got it aligned properly, and then you glue the top of the head in. That alone was irritating beyond belief, and it took me ages to figure out why it wasn't going together properly. And then it comes to the actual rider. Now, again, usually in this situation, as I'm used to it with Age of Sigmar Cavalry, for example, when you're gluing in the rider, even if you're doing it in two halves of the same body, there will be a little groove or something on the actual mount that guides the legs into place, that puts the whole thing together. You can dry fit it and it makes a bunch of sense, and if you're missing any flash or anything like that, the body just won't flat go together. So you'll be like, what's wrong there? So you'll go and find the problem, and you find the problem. But with this, there is no such thing. The grooves are on the inside of the legs, and then you have to kind of figure out exactly where it goes based on looking at the inside of the leg and what the indent is in the foot and where that's supposed to sit. And some of it doesn't quite line up, and some of it doesn't quite go together. And the body itself takes ages to actually figure out how the whole thing goes together. I must have spent about 25 minutes trying to put that part together. It's genuinely mostly fine, but there's two really irritating sticking points, pardon the pun. And of course we have that connection point on the cutting edge of the spears, which is unforgivable in this day and age. I don't care for it, and I don't like it. It's irritating. So the Kroot Lone Spear is unfortunately the worst kit in the range. Not of Warhammer. Not by a long stretch. But from the Kroot, it unfortunately does let it down. And like I said, this is a real shame, because from my perspective, you kind of want 2 or 3 of these, especially if you're doing a Kroot Hunting Pack army. You will want 3 of these for sure. But if they're that irritating to build each time, it's an immediate turn off for me. I'm probably just going to stick with the one. I don't think I will add any more, because as you know, I dislike building. And I have to kind of view things through that lens. That is the bias that we have to put things on. Well, I don't have to. I can just ignore it. I can just pretend everything's great. But no, it's not. The Kroot Lone Spear is just a bit of a letdown. And it is a shame, especially when the Rampagers, the Krootox Rider, the Kroot Carnivores, the Trail, War, Flesh, Shapers, and the Kroot Hounds have all been so fantastic. So if I have to give this one a rating, there's 2 ratings. The Hounds and the Trail Shaper, for sure, sit with a 9 out of 10 alongside the Kroot Hunting Pack. Absolutely. So Land Raider scale for them, 9 out of 10. They definitely feel like they were designed by the same people who were just going... This is what's so insane about the Lone Spear, is that all of the Kroot feels like it's been put together by the same people, and then the Kroot Lone Spear was put together by somebody else who wanted to create a more expert kit, if that makes sense. It's just... I just can't put my finger on it. Not to bang on about the Lone Spear as well, but it's things like, you know, just there's toes. You just have to glue in a toe on each of the foot. Like, why? I love its customizability. I love the way it looks. I love the amount of components you get in there, especially when it comes to the weapons and things. And the fact that there is two posable areas for the neck and head, that's fantastic. That's great. So there is stuff to love in the Lone Spear, but there's also bits, from my perspective as somebody who doesn't like building, there's bits to really hate. So I'm going to give the Kroot Lone Spear a 5 out of 10. Because like I said, there are areas that you can praise about it, and there are areas that are not so great. And that is a bit of a shame. So the question I asked right at the beginning of this, does the Kroot range stick the landing? And it's an almost. It's like when you see gymnastics and like the balance beam, for example, and you watch a fantastic routine and you're really enjoying it. You're not necessarily understanding it, but you're really enjoying it. And then they dismount and then the one leg just stumbles just a little bit. It does feel like, yes, they kind of stick the landing, but unfortunately the Lone Spear lets it down just a little bit. However, don't worry, I am going to paint it because, it's a cool miniature. It's really cool. I like it. I like it a lot. And I wish I wanted 3, but I don't, because building it was a nightmare. So we have a 9 out of 10 and a 5 out of 10, and we have a yes, sort of, with a caveat answer to does the Kroot range stick the landing? I think there's nothing left to say. Thank you so much for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed that, and let me know if you're excited for the rest of the Kroot range. Got painting videos coming. I'm going to do something slightly different with the Kroot Hounds, I think. We might do a real-time video, something like that. You guys have been asking for a really long video with lots and lots of music and stuff in it, so maybe we'll do that, because they're Kroot Hounds. How difficult are they to paint? Especially when you've done so many videos already. The Kroot Carnivores, for example, pretty much covers it, but we'll still do a video around them. I'm just not entirely certain what the format of them will be. But the Trail Shaper and the Lone Shaper will be coming. Lone Shaper, Lone Spear. Oh, God. I need to get on with other stuff. I need to stop rambling. But I never know how to say goodbye. So I will just say farewell. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/Warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.